I didn't think that they were gonna notice those walls because those walls were underneath the angles, like you can barely see them. But apparently they fucking saw them, so they took pictures and they sent them back to my boss. And now my boss is livid. My boss is livid, and he says to me, "Do you recognize that?" Now let's talk about the hardest lessons you had to learn while you were working. Okay. Now check this out. Before you tell me yours, let me tell you mine. Now I'm at this job, right? The job that I'm telling you that I got as a helper. At this point of my life, I already have like 1.5 years into that job, so I'm excited, right? I'm still learning. I'm earning my stripes. So the boss gives me the opportunity to go to this project, my first project, out of town. So we had to go to this town on the outsides of San Francisco. I think the name of the town was Kia or some shit like that. Anyway, it was me and 3 other guys. So the job, we had to go to this Walmart. So some Walmarts had their own auto shops where you get your service in your truck, your car, or whatever, or your oil change. So the job, we had to go to this Walmart, and in their auto shop, we had to replace these oil tanks that they have in there, right? So in order to replace these oil tanks, those oil tanks are underneath those auto shops. So I don't know if you ever gone to a Walmart auto shop, but as soon as you drive your car in, you drive your car on top of some panels. Those panels sits on top of angles that are welded to some rails, so the mechanics can work underneath your car, under those panels, right, to get your oil changed or whatever. So in order to get those oil tanks out of there and replace it with the new ones, my job as a structural welder was to cut those angles, to cut them out of there, to get the panels out, and obviously make enough space, like an access cut kinda, to get the oil tanks out and get the new ones in. So I had to get the panels out and cut those angles out of the rails, right, with a torch. So as soon as we got there, we had to start at 6 p.m. because that was the time where the auto shop closed. So they didn't want to have any customers in there or whatever. So we got there, mind you, we did like a 13-hour drive. Right? They didn't pay us per diem, but they were paying us the hours that it took, every hour that we were driving and working, right? So we got there like around noon because we left early, and you know, we slept a little bit, we ate some lunch, and we waited until 6 p.m. because that was the time that we were going to start work. So 6 p.m. we start working, everything is going smooth so far. We take the panels out, I cut the angles. So mind you, they wanted me to cut the angles with a torch, okay? So I thought in my mind that I was gonna cut those iron angles and we were gonna replace them with new ones. That was in my logic, right? Well, in the middle of cutting, they tell me, well, keep in mind you're gonna re-weld those angles back once we finish. And I was like, fuck, I mean, okay, if you want me to cut those angles with the fucking torch, keep in mind that the torch warps the metal. For those who don't know, right, it warps the metal. But me being a little unexperienced, I didn't take that in consideration because number one, I thought we were gonna replace them, and number two, I didn't have too much experience. But then I cut them all the best I could, just enough for me to replace them, right? So I cut them off. The other guys were doing their thing, their mechanical job. They were like unbolting and taking the tanks apart. We take those tanks out and we put the new ones in. As soon as we put the new ones in, then they tell me, okay, now put those angles back. Now mind you, some of these angles that I cut were like this. They were like bowed, you know, like they warped. They were not straight anymore. So I was like trying to strain them out again, and you know, just put them back as the best as I could. So I was welding it on the top, on the bottom, the best as I could. And mind you, it took us forever to get those tanks in. We started at 6 p.m. You know what time we finished to do everything? At 7 p.m. of the next day. It was a Sunday, and Sunday the auto shop was closed. So we were able to work a full-on fucking 26-hour shift because a lot of things went they didn't go bad, but a lot of things got us behind. The new tanks that we had took more to get there. The guys didn't have the right tools to unbolt those tanks. A lot of things, you know, you already know how it is. So we ended up working 26-hour shift. That shift we worked 26 hours. So, and of course me having a hard time to weld those fucking angles back the best as I could because they were like warped and shit. So I was welding them and everything. Long story short, I put them back together the best as I could, right? They paint them, let's go, wrap it up. So we went back to San Diego and thought it was it, right? 1 week passed by. Anyway, 1 week passed by. I got a call from the office. They call me and they tell me, hey, come to the office. Grant wants to talk to you, the owner, right? I'm like, okay, cool. I go to the office. I sit down with him and he showed me some pictures. He threw some pictures into his decks. Boom. Do you recognize that? And I saw the pictures and it was the angles that I welded, bro. It was the angles that I welded. They were all fucked up, bro. They were all fucked up because, mind you, the last couple of angles that I tried to weld, I remember this vividly. The last couple of angles that I tried to weld back together, they were so warped that I couldn't put them flush to the rail anymore. So I had to like fill gaps with my welding. And my welding, I was tired. I mean, I'm not making excuses on myself. I was not too good yet. I mean, at least not good enough to fill gaps with stick. And then I was tired, bro, to be honest with you. Like by the time I was welding, we already had like 24 hours in. So I didn't think that they were gonna notice those welds, because those welds were underneath the angles. Like you can barely see them. But apparently they fucking saw them. So they took pictures and they sent them back to my boss. And now my boss is livid. My boss is livid. And he says to me, do you recognize that? And of course I recognize that. So I was just shocked. And I was like, as soon as he said that, bro, I have flashbacks from that fucking job that I told you about, from the trucking shop company. I had a fucking flashback. I was like, oh my god, again I fucked up. I can't believe I'm gonna lose this fucking job because of my fucking incompetency and my inexpertise, whatever. A lot of things were going through my head. So I was like, yeah, I recognize that. And he was like, bro, that's fucked up, that's fucked up. Why do you do that? Blah blah blah. I did give him the whole explanation. I told him, hey, you know what, I thought we were gonna get new angle irons. So by the time they told me we were gonna use the new ones, I did the best I could, and we were working 24-hour shifts, whatever. What he told me taught me a lot, because I think kind of not backfire on him, but he was expecting a different answer. He told me, I'll tell you what, Ramon, I gotta pay this customer back, or I gotta make this job again. And obviously the customer is not gonna pay for rework. So you tell me how am I supposed to solve this? Put yourself in my shoes. So who's gonna pay for that, right? How do you expect me to do this? And I think I saw it in his eyes. He was ready for me to say, I quit. I quit. I'm not gonna do that for free. Because obviously he wasn't expecting me to say, I fix it, because first of all, it was all the way in fucking somewhere in the middle of nowhere in San Francisco. So I knew he was expecting me to say, you know what, I quit. Just use the money that you were gonna pay me for that job to pay another employee. I don't know, whatever. I straight up told him, you know what, I'll fix it. I told him, yeah, straight up, I'll fix it. And he looked at me like, what do you mean you fix it? Yeah, I'll go again. And he's like, but I can't pay you. I can't pay you to go all the way over there. I can't pay. I can't pay you all the hours that you work. This is rework. You know that, right? And I was like, yeah, but I did it. It was my project. Let me fix it. And he did a little smirk, bro. He tried to hide it a little bit, but I saw it on his face that he wasn't expecting that, but he was kind of surprised that I did that. He did a little smirk, like. He talked to us, his right hand in there, and he told me to wait outside. You know what? Wait outside. Let me talk to this guy. So 5 minutes later, he called me to the office and he said, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pay you for the gas, I'm gonna pay for your lunches while you go over there, and I'm gonna pay you for a hotel if you wanna sleep over there. But I mean, I can't pay you for the job. I mean, if you really wanna fix it, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to fix it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll fucking go. Whenever you want me to go. Okay, I'll let you know. I ended up going like on a Wednesday. I remember, on a Wednesday. So I even got up a little bit early that day. I was like, man, I guess I'm ready to go. So he assigned me and another guy to go over there so he can help me. But he told me, okay, now he gave me the opportunity to fix it on my own terms, my way. Because he told me, how you gonna fix it? Well, I told him, I'm gonna get new pieces of angle iron. So I'm expecting you to give me new pieces of angle iron to fix it. He didn't give me shit. He had a bunch of scrap in his shop, so it really didn't cost money to him. So I took new pieces of angle iron in a truck, and I went over there. I went back there. It took me like 8 hours to get there, because the first time we took a flatbed with the fucking oil tank. So now I got there a little bit quicker, and obviously it was on my time. So I got there and I got hands on, bro. I cut everything with a fucking cutting wheel. I didn't use the torch anymore, and I didn't have to cut all of the angles. It was just like 5 pieces of angle iron that were fucked up. So I only cut those. I got there, I cut those with the fucking cutting wheel, and I replaced it with new ones, freshly new ones. Put them right there, flush to the rail, weld them nice, and it took me like less than 8 hours to fix it, to be completely honest with you. I finished really quick. 8 hours to fix it, and we head back the same day. I didn't even sleep that day. I head back, and I got back to San Diego like at 3 in the morning. So I left the company truck right there in his yard because he gave me the keys, and the next day I came back to work at 6 a.m. So he ended up paying me, bro. He paid me. Now, I wasn't expecting him to pay me, but I think he saw the lesson that I took from that moment, and I learned one of the most valuable lessons I ever learned in my life, and it's accountability is everything. Accountability is everything. No matter how small or how insignificant your mistake can be, own to it. Always have accountability of all of your mistakes. I think that's part of being a man. That's part of the masculine imperative. You have to own for your mistakes. No matter what's the consequence, no matter if you're gonna get paid or not. I'm not saying go out there and work for free, but own for your mistakes. Because men respect that. A real man will respect that. That was gonna get you far anywhere. In any trade, any industry, and anywhere in life, if you ask me. Always have accountability for everything that you fucking do.